A detective confronts defendant Davian Murphy with evidence that his alibi is a lie. Phone records and surveillance video prove his cousin Darius Fizzle was at a mall in Orange Park, Florida, and never went to Tampa, leaving Murphy speechless. The search of a safe reveals a critical piece of evidence, a brass catcher designed to prevent shell casings from being left at a crime scene, containing 2 spent casings. The surveillance video continues, showing defendant Sean Gathright appearing to clean the suspect vehicle and transfer items into a different car. In a stunning moment, the defendant offers his own commentary on the shooting after watching surveillance footage, describing the actions of his co-defendants. More evidence is presented from the search of defendant Sean Gathaway's vehicle, this time showing spent bullet casings that were found among his belongings. Now, the jury sees the police interrogation of defendant Davian Murphy, who immediately denies being in Tampa and offers an alibi. Investigators executing a search warrant at a residence linked to the defendants found a bizarre scene: firearm and GPS tracker boxes deliberately submerged in a kitchen sink. A detective confronts defendant Davian Murphy with evidence that his alibi is a lie. Phone records and surveillance video prove his cousin Darius Fizzle was at a mall in Orange Park, Florida, and never went to Tampa, leaving Murphy speechless.
But the entire story you just gave is a lie.
I noticed this 100%. We have Fizzle
In Orange Park.
in the Foot Locker Sunday morning.
No, he goes to the food court.
He's in the food court, which is right beside the Foot Locker in Orange Park Mall, on camera. The same time that you said that you're dapping him up, giving him a hug at Airbnb in Tampa.
The court hears from one of the first officers to arrive at the chaotic scene, who describes how she was led to the victim's body.
Minutes when they are back at the scene.
Okay, overrule the objection. Go ahead.
So she told me he was wearing red shorts, a white shirt, and he had on a hat. So at that point, I walked over to the vehicle to see if the individual inside, or if there was an individual inside, which there was, and he was wearing what was described to me.
At that point, there were also members of the Tampa Police Department on scene.
There was.
Was there a sergeant there that started to direct?
Next, the jury hears audio from an officer's body-worn camera, capturing the raw emotion of the moments just after the fatal shooting.
Describing when that vehicle first pulls up and those 3 individuals jump out of the vehicle and they're screaming and upset. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, I can.
Eventually, they give you and Officer Fusco enough information, but what do they...
A crime scene technician walks the jury through the forensic processing of a Nissan Altima linked to the shooting, revealing where bullet fragments were found inside the car.
In 31D, were there multiple points or areas of impact that you were hoping to document?
Yes.
Can you describe for us what those were here?
Those were 2 points of impact here on the radio screen. One of them had a fragment.
In 31E, is this you documenting that fragment itself?
Yes.
Is that where it was located when you actually initially processed?
Yes.
And as a part of your collection of evidence to impound those items once you have photographed them in place?
Yes.
In 31F, did you remove that fragment?
Yes.
As you did overall to the vehicle, could you see impacts to the rear of the vehicle that were also consistent with the damage that you were seeing in the dashboard of the vehicle?
Yes.
So through the back and to the front?
Yes.
In 31G, was there another impact just above the control panel here?
Yes.
Did you also have an opportunity in 31I to photograph impacts to the passenger seat?
Yes.
Is 31H a photo of that same seat?
Yes.
The technician then reveals a firearm was recovered from the trunk of the Nissan before turning his attention to the victim's bullet-riddled Dodge Charger.
And was there a firearm from the trunk of that vehicle that you also collected?
Yes.
Is that what's depicted here in 31U?
Yes.
After you processed the Nissan Altima, were you actually asked to process anything else?
Not at this scene.
What about your next involvement in this particular case? Where did you respond to next for processing?
After this, it was the search warrant at impound.
Tell us what impound is, please.
Is the TPD lot where we impound our vehicles.
At the time that you responded to the TPD impound lot, had a black Dodge Charger been impounded for your processing?
Yes.
The detective details a traffic stop of defendant Sean Gathright, revealing the significant arsenal of weapons and ammunition found inside his vehicle just days after the murder.
Inside the center console of the car.
That's correct.
And then in the back seat, in sealed off baggies, there were, or not baggies, but in bags that were not transparent from the outside, there was a lot of assorted ammunition, right?
Yeah, it sounded like a duffel bag in the back seat.
Okay. And that was closed up, right?
Yes.
And it was just a lot of loose ammunition in there, right?
Gun parts and...
Investigators executing a search warrant at a residence linked to the defendants found a bizarre scene. Firearm and GPS tracker boxes deliberately submerged in a kitchen sink.
Is that what we're looking at in 53B?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell just from the overall, before you did anything, what the items inside were?
Yes, they are cardboard and also appeared to have some like firearm serial numbers and stuff on top.
Did you locate any boxes inside of the sink that had any other markings other than firearm-related materials?
Yes.
What was that?
I think there was a top of a GPS tracker, a serial number.
What about in 53G? Was this something at or near the sink?
Yes, it's a red dot cover.
What is a red dot cover, do you know?
So essentially a red dot is like your sight for a firearm, and it just covers it so it doesn't, damage any glass or anything like that.
And ultimately, did you remove that those wet items from the sink?
Yes, ma'am.
To the best of your ability, did you photograph those items at some point?
Yes.
In 53I, is this that tracker box that you were talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Outside.
The search of a safe reveals a critical piece of evidence. A brass catcher designed to prevent shell casings from being left at a crime scene containing 2 spent casings.
Particular location.
It looks like there's a brass catcher and also a magazine, a rifle magazine.
Did you photograph that brass catcher as you removed it from the safe in 54X?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you locate inside of that brass catcher 54Y?
2 9mm casings.
More evidence is presented from the search of defendant Sean Gathright's vehicle, this time showing spent bullet casings that were found among his belongings.
Those are spent casings, and then there's some miscellaneous, looks like gun parts inside there.
How do these casings differ from the ammunition that we saw in the packaging or the loose ammunition that we saw in the photos prior to this?
These would have been fired already. They weren't live rounds, so the casings what's left over once the projectile leaves the round.
The medical examiner now provides graphic testimony detailing the catastrophic injuries Julio Foolio sustained from a single gunshot to the chest.
And embedded into the left side of his chest. The jacket of the bullet also split off, and that was recovered in the right side of his chest, so near to the entrance wound.
So the other...
Dr. Riley explains the unusual trajectory of the bullets that struck the rapper's back, suggesting he was shot while diving for cover.
What was the direction?
It is from left to right, back to front, and upward.
Upward.
Yes.
Okay, so upward through the body.
Correct.
So if that wound was coming through my body, it would be going like this and then upward?
Yes.
Up through, okay. Did wound that you've labeled number 3, did it have a similar direction?
It had the same direction.
Left to right, upward, back to front?
Yes.
Would that type of direction and wound track, would that be consistent with being inflicted to someone who is either bent over or is on top of something with the front of their body facing down?
It's possible.
The prosecutor asked the medical examiner how quickly the victim would have died from his injuries.
From the bullet, and that would drop your blood pressure. And when you don't have any blood pressure, you can't pump blood to the brain. And without blood to the brain and oxygen, the brain starts to die and you go unconscious. So that's one mechanism. The other mechanism is the bleeding itself. You can't stop the bleeding, and you basically exsanguinate. You lose all your blood.
Does that loss of blood, does it affect the brain?
Yes.
In what way?
Again, lack of oxygen from the loss of blood.
Does loss of consciousness, does that occur somewhere peri-mortem around the time of death?
Yes.
Do you expect that to occur before death in most cases?
Within minutes, he'd go unconscious and be brain dead, and then he'd keep bleeding, and so he would also die from blood loss.
The jury hears just how devastating the rapper's injuries were, as the medical examiner quantifies the massive internal bleeding he suffered.
I think the left pleural cavity had 1,100 milliliters, and the right had 600, 400. I'd have to have my report in front of me.
Would it be fair to say close to 2 liters?
Yes.
How many total liters are in an adult male normally?
About 5.
5 total liters of blood in your body at any time?
Yes.
Okay. So would it be fair to say a significant amount of the total blood volume?
It is.
From the one wound?
Yes.
How about the wounds to the back that terminated near the...
In a dramatic conclusion to the medical examiner's testimony, the prosecutor lays out a step-by-step theory of how Julio Foolio was shot while trying to escape.
Turned in his seat, blading himself to the shooters, and then started to dive over the console seeking cover to try to avoid being shot into the back seat. Would that scenario be consistent with the wounds and your findings in this case?
It would.
Would it be consistent with him suffering the wound to his right arm, the entry wound to his right chest with the bullet being found underneath his arm?
The jury has now shown crucial surveillance video that tracked one of the suspect vehicles from Tampa to a defendant's grandmother's house hours after the murder.
And Mr. Petrides. Okay, it'll be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And we're moving to publish. Detective, what are we saying in the video?
The subject consistent with Sean Gathright coming from the Impala, which is parked in the driveway.
And what is the time on the video?
4:35 p.m. on 6/23 of 2024.
Is the black Impala visible?
Yes, it is.
And where is it?
It's parked in the driveway facing the road.
Detective, what are we seeing in this portion of the video?
This is the camera angle that is looking at the driveway with the Impala in question backing into.
The surveillance video continues, showing defendant Sean Gathright appearing to clean the suspect vehicle and transfer items into a different car.
Sure.
Before doing that, did he remove items from the trunk?
Yes, he did.
Did he remove items from the front seat area?
Yes, he did.
Did he remove items from the back seat area?
Yes, he did.
Detective, when he removes the items from the car, does he walk somewhere with them?
Yes, he's walking into the garage with those items.
Did your investigation reveal that at that time there was another motor vehicle that was inside the garage?
Yes, sir.
What kind of motor vehicle?
It was a Toyota SUV.
Does it appear he's again has this cloth and is doing something with it, or a rag?
Yes, sir. I believe it's a different rag, but yes, he's continuing to wipe the vehicle.
First one was white, this one's grayish colored?
Yes, sir.
And does it appear he's concentrating on the grips, the door handle, the inside door latch?
Sustained as to leading, actually.
Where is he concentrating while he's wiping down?
It appears that he was concentrating on the door handle area of the interior door handles.
Before his police interrogation begins, defendant Davian Murphy is recorded singing to himself in the interview room.
Hey, let these fuck niggas stop saying my name. Niggas love to start the beef and play victim. But the people in my business fuck the world and all they feelings. And I'm trying my hardest, so close to falling. And it's in my heart, it's on my face. Getting kind of hard to hide my pain. Last night I had a dream. The day finally came. Let it stop saying my motherfucking name. Niggas love to start the beef. Niggas love to start the beef and play victim. But the people in my business fuck the world and all they feelings. The people in my business fuck the world and all they feelings. I ain't had time to put on the fucking socks, bro. Niggas in that bitch sleep that good.
Now, the jury sees the police interrogation of defendant Davian Murphy, who immediately denies being in Tampa and offers an alibi.
Did you see any of them in that Airbnb in Tampa while you were there? Like just passing by?
I was just going.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your opinion on all this? Like you went to Tampa.
They got the wrong person, man. I didn't go to no Tampa. I live in Orlando.
Well, you're on the video in Tampa.
Yeah, but I'm saying I ain't saying it like that. I'm saying like I didn't come from Jacksonville to go to no Tampa. You feel me?
Right.
I was in Orlando. You feel me?
Yes,
I got
sir.
dropped off in Orlando, and then my phone was left. That's how.
In a stunning moment, the defendant offers his own commentary on the shooting after watching surveillance footage, describing the actions of his co-defendants.
Say before the Irish Union, I was back in Jacksonville to help my mama move. No, my mom. My little brother came home in April.
Okay.
My little brother came home in April. I was down there to see him, and then I went back to Orlando because I had work.
Would you say April was the last time you were in Jacksonville prior to this?
What, prior to what?
Prior to June.
Prior to June, I was never in Jacksonville in June.
Okay. Have you ever heard of an apartment complex over off of Caravan, over off like Atlantic, like Arlington area kind of?
I don't even know the South
Caravan.
Side.
There's
if it ain't the west side, and if it ain't parts of the north, and if it ain't the east side, I don't know. I don't even know
There's an apartment complex somewhere. I think. Would you describe that as Arlington?
Sin City.
Sin City, Acme, and all that.
So like Atlantic University.
What's Sin City right from? I never knew the like.
It's like Dakota Apartments, Acme, Bolin, Galveston, India.
I was always told when people say something about Southside that Regency, like they call that.
I agree with
Regency,
you.
Well, Regency Mall.
So when you go over the Red Bridge to Matthews, and then when you get past like Bird Blackard area on the right, there's Red Bay Apartments.
You talking about right now? As soon as you get off the Red Bridge, you talking about Somos. That used to be called Somos back.
No. So that if you keep going down past like the Amoco. Yeah, where Atlantis was.
That's Bird Road right there.
Yeah, so when you go right past that on the right, that's Sin City. In between them, like basically like Arlington Road, Arlington and Bird, all the way to the south side, that's Sin City. It's like the block, they're very like short blocks, very poor, like shotgun homes.
I never knew that. I thought all that was just Arlington right there.
I mean, it is Arlington. It's kind of like this, like you would have like.
The defendant becomes emotional, complaining that the victim's family is being portrayed sympathetically while ignoring years of gang disrespect.
My auntie, God bless her, did Rod Adams. My auntie was depressed, dead red. My grandma died behind that. My grandma caught a heart attack behind the songs that he was making.
Because he was always distant.
My Corbin mama couldn't walk out of the house without seeing somebody in the public. You know how they do TikToks anywhere. Where's Corbin?
Yeah, that's it.
You gotta feel like somebody pissed on my cousin's grave. Like you gotta feel that. You gotta feel like who we talking about. Just praying and wasn't biased.